For our weekly Sunday Sunset Chat. Tonight, I'm live now on Instagram, so bear with me any patience as we do that new platform. Simulcasting to you still, as always, on x.com, YouTube, and Facebook. So thanks again for joining on 4 of our social media channels tonight for our weekly Sunday Sunset Live. We are going to be talking about, kind of focused on, tonight's heavy, potentially flooding rain and downpours. We could hear a rumble of thunder. We could see some wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour, especially later tomorrow. We'll go into all the details. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments on Instagram, X, YouTube, or Facebook. All right, we're at capitalweathergang.com anytime you need us. On my latest forecast right there, the PM update, and radar is definitely filling in. Driving is going to be slow going this evening, but unlike last week's storm, we don't have much of any snow to speak of behind the storm this time, but plenty of National Weather Service advisories along the I-95 corridor in the dark green. We've got those flood watches in effect from 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow. And at the highest elevations along Skyline Drive in our region, at the top of the Blue Ridge, there's also a wind advisory there. Notice the yellow south of the DC area in North Carolina. That's where a tornado watch is in effect. This is a very energetic storm, and first threat that we'll focus on is the at least 15% chance of seeing some flooding downpours tonight and early tomorrow morning. That's why the flood watch goes from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. tonight. The Storm Prediction Center luckily keeping south of us this week any severe weather chances, but in the lightest green there in the upper left panel, you'll see that we do have the slightest chance for some everyday rumbles of thunder with this heavy rain and potential downpours tonight. Here is the storm total rains that go through tomorrow morning. 1.5 is pretty easy to attain from this storm, up to 3.5 inches of rain. The very quick pace of the rains tonight between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. is why there is a flood watch in effect. So please do consider adding a little bit of time for your morning commute tomorrow morning as well. And remember, turn around, don't drown if you encounter a flood-covered roadway in front of you. Precipitation, none really to speak of after this storm. Maybe a hint of a few flakes on Saturday, a very tiny chance, but this is a very powerful storm. You see it pulls out very quickly, leaving winds behind it that could, not only tonight, gust to at least 30 miles per hour, but tomorrow, midday, maybe early afternoon, we could see peak wind gusts around 40 miles per hour. And around 40 miles per hour is enough with such soaked soils to maybe have some downed trees. We could see a couple power outages here and there, so maybe do charge your devices if you're in a prone area for power outages. Snowfall for Monday night. This is still behind the storm. It's exited well toward northeast. Highest elevations of like Garrett County, Appalachia, in the highest elevations of West Virginia. The spine of the Appalachians there near Elkins, let's say, and Snowshoe has a much better chance of seeing accumulating snowfall. But worth mentioning, a snow shower or two could put down a dusting or coating, maybe focused northwest of town for Monday night. Outside chance, maybe 10% chance at most around the Beltway and points northeast on 995 from Monday night. See a dusting to a coating as well. Here's the forecast at a glance. The week again turns tranquil by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, warmer Friday into Saturday. So we'll see. I really don't trust seeing the European model spit out some snowflakes for this upcoming kind of Saturday. So let's be skeptical of that wintry precipitation potential. Thanks for joining. I'm Camden Walker for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats, now on Instagram Live for the first time. Thanks for your patience as I try out our now 4 simulcasting to you, our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. Good evening, David. Thanks for joining from Facebook, and Peter, and Maria, and Michael. You're in good shape there around Leesburg. Michael, a little bit less rainfall, and you're still with really dry soils around Leesburg compared to points along the Beltway and I-95. Ruth Elisa, hello. And let's see, how much snow from this storm? Potentially very little. I'm happy to go back to that for you, Rick. It's very little to speak of with the, let's see, here's Monday night snow total staying under an inch. I mean, a dusting to a coating at most. Rick, indeed, this could be a foot or two of snow if it had all been cold air, but we can't think like that. The atmosphere doesn't always work like that. But yes, this would have been a really good snow machine. All right, Chad, we are indeed making good dents in the droughts. I think I now have seen us down to D1 drought instead of D3 and D2. And rain in DC looks like about 3 inches. Let's go to that. I have a little bit of a, there we go. 1.5, 2.5 inches of rain. And you can even see around DC, 3 inches, 3.5 inches is not out of the question. And oh no, Marriott, thanks for coming back to Facebook after trying the Instagram feed. I will try and figure out a way to, let me see if I can figure out how to get it on, I'm not, thanks Instagram. Hello, Sean and Cabot on Instagram and Kat Peretti. It looks like it is cropped, but we'll get better with time. I'll see if there's a way for me to do the simulcast with having the video be a little bit more in the portrait instead of landscape. All right, well, it was worth trying at least tonight, a little beta testing there on Instagram, but I'm still happy to talk to you on YouTube, X, and Facebook. All right, let's look ahead to what we have on the blog at capitalweathergang.com. We have our major storm all over the East Coast. We've got that briefing for you at capitalweathergang.com. PM update, that's my forecast, latest forecast at capitalweathergang.com. And here's radar. Very much getting heavy rain on schedule. Flood watch in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'm Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com. Find us on the blog there anytime you need us at capitalweathergang.com. Sammy in northern Philly, you're going to have rain well into tomorrow midday into the early afternoon. Groundhog Day, a little bit with this storm compared to last Sunday, Lewis, but no wintry threat nearly as much behind this storm as there was last week. And Peg, you're most welcome. Good to see you from Frederick and there on Facebook. Really appreciate it. And yep, glad it's only rained this week, Mary, because we do have a lot of travels, including me. I've got to do some travel briefly in the middle of this week as well. Indeed, Rick, it's not scientific that this would be 1 to 2 feet of snow, but it's hypothetical, right? If this was all cold air. All right, so let's see. We've got Mary. Appreciate that. All right. Great. I'm glad at least you got one notification. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icons on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and the X page to make sure you're getting live video notifications. Just following us is no longer enough. You have to opt into live notifications on each of our platforms, social media platforms. All right, Ruth Lisa, thanks for watching on Instagram as well. I'm pleased to try that out tonight for the first time. Let's look ahead on the next work week, which is shortened. Like Christmas Monday is kind of the start of next week, even though it's not technically a work day for most of us. A decent chance of above average precipitation. So the good news is we should keep the drought even, keep denting it more and more. And I'll update you more next week when we have less active weather on the drought, but it's heading in the right direction. Here's temperatures for next week. Decent chance of above average temperatures. Not good news if you wanted a white Christmas, but here it is climatologically. Let's get real, under 10% chance in DC of a white Christmas. Typically, there's been very few years. It's been, exceedingly more and more rare as we get into a warmer and warmer human climate change induced climate where it's warmer, and you can see fewer and far between where we've had white Christmases. And it looks like the last really white tree was in 2009. Yes, indeed. So there's some interesting trivia for you, and I like how the National Weather Service out of Baltimore, Washington, Sterling office put that together. Here it is, capitalweathergang.com, where we are 24/7 for you. I'm Camden Walker on the air, another 10 minutes or so. My latest forecast, my PM update is there. Radar is filling in. Please drive slowly and safely this evening. Remember, turn around, don't drown. We have a flood watch in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Low-lying areas, poor drainage areas, especially in urban environments, are most prone to seeing these heavy downpours result in patchy flooding. And then winds are a concern, especially going into tomorrow. We could see some wind gusts around 40 miles per hour. That, with such saturated soils, does not bode well for maybe a couple downed trees, a few power outages. So keep that in mind. You might want to proactively charge your devices tonight and early tomorrow morning if you are in an area where you're prone to power outages. All right, Natalie. A couple school delays may be possible with this flooding. I don't think there's a high likelihood, but if key routes are hit worse than I currently project for tomorrow morning, the flood watch does end at 6 a.m. If that gives you some context, though, a delay buys time to see how any potential low-lying waters recede after 6 a.m. tomorrow, maybe even before. But yeah, let's see. We've got Mary tuning in. Let's see. Crazy Christmas. Crazy that Christmas is next week. I know time is flying, David. I agree. Happy holidays to you as well, Chad. And Paul, it looks like you have a good week to travel if you can get to your destination during the work week. Even Saturday, generally looking okay along the East Coast 6 days from now as well. Yeah, Rick, the drought is getting dented. We're down, I think, from D3 drought down to D1. So it's simply a moderate drought, no longer exceptional or severe. We are really catching up with these weekly 1 to 3 inch rainfalls. So that is the good news. And I'll update the maps for that next week when we have less active weather. So speaking of active, here are all the active advisories from the National Weather Service. And the I-95 corridor, this dark green, that is the flood watch in effect from 6 a.m. now, 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we've got a solid 12 hours of flooding downpours potentially possible. Upper elevations of the Blue Ridge there along Skyline Drive and that sliver of beige color, that is a wind advisory. Yellow down in North Carolina is a tornado watch. So this, just to illustrate, this is a very dynamic system. Over in Garrett County, you're in a winter storm warning for snow over in that direction at highest elevations. Flooding downpours here in the yellow, at least a 15% chance, unfortunately, of seeing some flooding tonight with the rainfall rates exceeding typical flooding capacities and drainage capacities. Here in the lightest shading of green in the upper left corner is just indicative that the Storm Prediction Center finding we could have an everyday thunderstorm tonight. A rumble of thunder, a little lightning is not impossible, but as I think Lewis was talking about, but a little bit of Groundhog Day deja vu from last Sunday's storm. Our severe threat is lower than last Sunday night's storm, and the wintry threat is much lower than last Sunday night's storm. Those are differences from last week's storm. So luckily, the severe threat is staying south and east of the DC area. Rain totals helping the drought. That's the good news, but a little too much too quickly. That's why we're in a flood watch with 1.5 to maybe 3.5 inches of rainfall in parts of our area. Here's a quick animation of precipitation. That storm, very powerful and energetic, moving off to the northeast tomorrow during the day. Leaving behind it, we'll talk about wind in a minute and maybe a little chance this weekend of seeing a few snowflakes, but I'm discounting that so far. Temperatures don't look to cooperate just yet, but we'll keep you posted at capitalweathergang.com as we get closer. Here is the wind I alluded to for tomorrow. 40 mile per hour gusts are not out of the question. Maybe even a couple 45 mile per hour gusts. After seeing so much rain, 1.5 to 3.5 inches of rain, some trees, even without their leaves, could have very loose roots by midday tomorrow when these strongest wind gusts are moving through. So power outages can't be ruled out, and I urge you to proactively charge a couple devices, electronic devices, if you've noticed over the years you're in a typical area prone to power outages. That's my recommendation there. Snowfall Monday night behind the storm, very light, even around Frederick. Preferred areas northwest of DC, but we're talking about a dusting to a coating. Maybe, and I'm sorry I'm drinking tea tonight, and maybe dusting to a coating around the Beltway, but only a 10% chance Monday night. Generally, snow flurries that are conversational and unlikely to amount to much. All right, Beth, the chats are getting later and later. I'm 2 minutes later than last week, the last 2 weeks. So isn't that great? We no longer, at this part of this, as we get into the shortest days of the year, we're going to take the last few seconds off of the morning light. We're no longer going earlier and earlier on our evening light. So slowly but surely, as we get into January, I should get after 5 p.m. by the end of January, I believe, back to these chats. I've got rooibos tea tonight, David. Thanks for asking. And James on YouTube. Peak El Nino, we've written about that on capitalweathergang.com. It is powerful, and we talk about what the context is for that for this winter and the potential for how that impacts the climate in our hemisphere. Forecast at a glance turning tranquil. Winds dying down slowly but surely after Monday's wind gusts around 40 miles per hour, and maybe some Monday night snow showers, snow flurries. So it's calmer, it's below average this week, a little chilly, but we warm back up by the end of the week into the weekend. Yep, Justin, a better snow outlook we think for January and February. And I-81 is doing okay in the Shenandoah Valley, Katy. The next couple hours, just allow a little bit extra time, but I think you have a decent window right now if you can start your drive now. And David, colorful map indeed. And winter solstice is this week. We'll have an update at capitalweathergang.com on December 21st, our shortest day of the year. And have I caught up on comments? Let's see. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, x.com, is what Twitter was. And now tonight I'm on Instagram. I hear that it is cropped, so I have to work on that. That's our beta test tonight. Thanks for tuning in on 4 of our social media channels, simulcasting to you live. I'm Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com. That's our blog anytime you need us, 24/7, or go to washingtonpost.com/local or/weather. We're there as well. I will, Paul, likely skip a broadcast for Sunday, Monday. They're both holidays next week, so I think you'll see me in 2 weeks. Thanks for reminding me. You'll see me on New Year's Day, Monday, January 1st. So this is our last 2023 broadcast for this year. Gosh. Josh, you're most welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Yep, Julia, rain and wind. We have 1.5 to 3.5 inches of rain. Let's review the rain amounts. So here it is, 1.5 to 3.5 inches of rain tonight. That's why a flood watch is in effect, 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And in addition, we're watching wind gusts behind as the storm is exiting tomorrow. We could see wind gusts around 40 miles per hour. That's why we can't rule out some power outages after our flooding threat is receding tomorrow morning. So it's a little bit of a 1-2 punch tonight into tomorrow. So please be mindful. Have more than one way to get maybe severe weather warnings if wind gusts are a little stronger than we currently expect, which I think we have eliminated the idea that gusts could be over 50 miles per hour mostly. And I think the flood watch, we could have a few flood warnings. You might want to be attuned to those as we have morning rush tomorrow morning and waters receding hopefully by then. And you're most welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. Julia, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. I hope I answered your question there all right. And Katie, you're most welcome. And Beth, I'm going to cheers you with my rooibos tea. I'm glad. This is like a little tea for our last tete-a-tete for 2023, since the next time you'll talk to me will be New Year's Day 2024. Hard to believe time is flying so much. Indeed. Patricia, so far, Christmas Day is looking all right next Monday. But let's look ahead really quick. I'm more comfortable giving you outlook trends for the entire week next week as we kind of hone in on details for the Christmas Day forecast, but all of Christmas week leaning above average for precipitation with moderate probability, moderate confidence there, and moderate confidence and probability that we see above average temperatures next week as well. And white Christmases are around here in the DC area under 10% chance of happening. So just always let's even if we see some flakes before Christmas, let's keep our expectations managed nowadays in the current warming climate. And it's been a long time. Look at that last tree that was super white was in 2009. I love this graphic from our local Sterling National Weather Service office. All right, let's see. We've got Paul, indeed, I'll talk to you again. My next broadcast will be in 2 weeks or so on New Year's Day 2024. I'm Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com. We're tuning in tonight. We're simulcasting now to Instagram. Please follow us on our Instagram feed, even though here it's a little cropped. It's a nice little test tonight. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm also on X, YouTube, and Facebook tonight as well. My PM update here, and always anytime 24/7. We're at capitalweathergang.com. And here it is, that storm moving in as right on time with the heavy amounts of rain, flood watch in effect. Radar is proving it was a good call for the National Weather Service to issue that flood watch from 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Remember, turn around, don't drown. If you encounter a water-covered path forward, you'd never want to submerge yourself walking, biking, driving. Turn around, don't drown, go back the other way. Let's see, we've got Ann, you're most welcome. Jessica, a few delays with rains and winds tomorrow can't be ruled out in Dulles, but I don't think without a high wind watch or warning, I think we're going to escape major cancellations tomorrow. Let's see, Emma Joy, sorry about mispronouncing your name. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook, and I think the commute tomorrow morning deserves a little bit extra time allotted to it in case there are some low-lying streams in urban areas where drainage has kind of gotten overwhelmed. We might need some time for some waters to recede tomorrow morning, so keep that in mind for your morning commute. All right, happy holidays to you as well, Julia. Thanks for tuning in from YouTube. And Mary, travel forecast going west is pretty good this week. Let me show you I'm on the air another minute or so, 30 seconds actually, but here it is, a pretty calm, tranquil week for most of this half of the country. It's a pretty good travel week through most of this weekend. So I hope travels do go smoothly and nothing surprising comes up, but so far it's looking pretty darn tranquil and good. With the forecasts at a glance, even around DC. Oh, let's see. There we go. I want to show you the temperature trends this week. It is a little chilly and below average, moderately below average, even lower, cooler, chillier than our coldest average high temperature in mid-January, 42 degrees potentially there on Thursday. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will see you in 2-ish weeks on New Year's Day 2024. I'm Camden Walker signing off for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Really appreciate you letting me experiment tonight for the first time on our Instagram live feed at Capital Weather. Make sure you follow us there and follow us at Capital Weather on Facebook, on X, on YouTube. And anytime you need us, we are at CapitalWeatherGang.com, of course. Please be mindful of the rains and the winds tonight. Flood watch in effect from 6 p.m. tonight to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. A few extra minutes added to a lot to your commute tomorrow morning. It could be slow going in a few spots as a few patchy flooding spots recede in their waters. There could be a couple blocked roads here and there. So just add a little mental time and patience to your morning commute tomorrow. And winds tomorrow with around 40 miles per hour could lead to a few power outages as well. So please keep that in mind. See you in 2024, David. Happy holidays, Julia, Mary, Jessica, and David and Paul. See you next year, indeed. Happy holidays, Peg and Mary and Paul. All right. Thanks, everyone. Please have a safe, wonderful holiday season. The next 2 holidays. I'll see you on New Year's Day 2024, and I will hopefully get Instagram a little better next time as we beta test adding our 4th social media platform to this live weekly-ish Sunday Sunset Q&A, which will be a Holiday Monday Q&A on January 1st. Okay, take care. I will let you go. Bye for now.